telling you, man, look at what they have done in Philadelphia with the way that they have moved the money around. Russell Wilson is destroying the Denver Broncos, and that guy was coming to Philly. If it wasn't for him vetoing that deal, Philly'd be in the Broncos position right now. He'd be in the Bronco position. And before I bring Angelo on here, I'm going to say this to you about that Cowboy thing one more time. The Cowboys aren't just 2 games back in the NFC East. They're 10 years back. That franchise is 10 years back. And that guy, Micah Parsons, that guy is so overrated, he's not Pat Swilling. I saw that guy get killed by the shitty Arizona Cardinals. Who's on that team? Josh Dobbs? Is that the guy, the journey guy that been going like 5 or 6 teams? Holy Maron. You got to be kidding me. Howie has done a great job with the cash register. He really has, man. Amazing job. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys still think they're good. And you got Jason Kelsey screaming on the sidelines because our red zone sucks because we're 2-6. 2 for 6. That's championship mentality. Still thinking you're better than the 49ers like Michael Parsons today? That's delusional. Let's bring a guy who I love to death. I just absolutely – it was out in wine country too, man. I love wine country. Did you go to Silverado out there?
I got to tell you, they're very, very enthusiastic about vino. I did like 30 or 40 wine tastings, and they're telling me, Dan, they're going, and this one will taste like chocolate. And I didn't taste any chocolate. The other one's cherries. I did taste cherries. All I knew, I wanted to see the price tag. That's all I cared about.
Oh, Angelo, so good, man. Angelo, is this team as good as last year?
You know, you just said something, Dan, that it really resonated with me. You're saying about Russell Wilson and him rejecting the deal to Philadelphia. Howie Roseman was like the toast of the town. You know, they went to the Super Bowl at 5-0. There's a lot of luck involved. You know,
yeah.
Howie wanted Wilson. None of this would have happened. Hurts, God knows what would have happened with Hurts. No one could predict it. You need a little luck too. But at 5-0, the city is still cautiously optimistic because it hasn't been a 5-0 like the Niners are putting together. Niners look amazing. And the Eagles have just gotten done what they needed to get done. But it's a fascinating thing to watch that going on while the Phillies are going on simultaneously in the city, because you really start to see the priorities. Are we a football town? Look at the electricity in Citizens Bank Park. Are we a baseball town? Which wins? And I know the answer to that, but I don't want to give it away. You know?
Because that's coming out in the book, right?
Well, no. The book is loud. It's available now for pre-order at AngeloCataldi.com. But let me just say, it'll always be a football town, Dan, no matter what. And this is the first year without me doing a show. You know, I'm retired now, that I really got to figure out what I love more, you know? And man, there's just nothing like a Sunday afternoon with football. I just love the NFL. I bitch about it all the time, and I'm addicted to it. And the baseball, I'm into it. It's nice. Not the same. Football is, to me, football is king.
Angelo, I've never seen a city that has some of the most intelligent, some of the over the top, some of the most fanatical, some that are constantly pessimistic, optimistic, there's such a range and variety of fan that, to me, it's a matter of winning and where these teams are. Like, look at the Phillies, man. That was a disappointing loss, but you know what? The next time that stadium, it'll be even louder.
You're right.
Than before. It's got to be one of the greatest fan bases of all time.
That's a fairly new phenomenon. This atmosphere in there now It started last year. Before that, it was great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they won a championship in '08, but not like it's been. The last couple of years, it's moved to a different level. And I can't fully tell you why that is, because you got to realize last August, a year ago August, Dan, they were getting 25,000 in a 45,000 stadium to see the Phillies play. The only night they got over 30 was when they gave hot dogs away for $1, right? Dollar dog night. In fact, I was working with Al Morgani at our show, and he went, hey, I know how they could get bigger crowds. Just sell the hot dogs for $1 for the rest of the season. Maybe we'll get more people that way. But then, wow, then the playoffs came, and this new surge of excitement came into it. And it's fun to watch. It's going to be so interesting to see, because you can't lose a game more gut-wrenchingly than the way they blew the game in Atlanta last night. And I think they'll go even bigger. It'll be even stronger because the fans believe they actually have a hand in the outcome of the games. And I don't think most cities, if you saw even out in LA last Sunday, there were a lot of Eagle fans 3,000 miles away to see that game.
Did you hear what Stafford said? Stafford said that the noise issues in our audibles were an issue because the Eagle fans were so loud at SoHi Stadium.
Is that crazy?
Crazy.
Now, here's the thing. What I'm thinking is that unlike most fan bases, the Philadelphia sports fans, especially in baseball and football, actually think they can affect the outcome. They believe that if they care loud enough, that's why I named the book Loud, they will actually affect the outcome of a game. Now, I've gone to games and I've never felt they had that power, but the fans really have that opinion right now in this city. And it's a pretty cool thing to see in our two biggest sports.
I'll say this, though, too. Your shows like yours and Howard's back in the day when you could actually do a radio show and you could actually give your opinion before you had to go into the principal's office nowadays that most people have to do. You gave people voices, Angelo. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm going to get on the show or I'm going to do that. And I think that also built the passion up because unlike a lot of other sports talk cities that I've worked in, I've never seen anything like it. There's only 2 hosts or maybe 4 hosts in that city that move the needle, because I think you could put anybody in those chairs because the fans are so passionate that they're going to voice their opinions, good or bad. I get more crap every day from the Philly fans, and they come back every day. That's how I know I'm doing a good job.
Yes. Dan, you're really on point with that. I went into radio with 0 experience. I was a writer. I covered the Eagles for the Philadelphia Inquirer. And I still managed to get pretty good ratings from the beginning and then better ratings. And I always believed it was less about me and more about them. And what I learned over all those years were feature the callers. Make it personal. Eagles Shirley, Arson Ani, Kenny from the Dirty 30. I had all these special people that made contributions to the show and became semi-famous in that role. Our show, what I figured out, it took me a long time. The real stars of the shows in Philadelphia sports are the fans themselves.
Yes.
They're so loyal. They're so vocal. They're funny. They're spontaneous. And mostly, above all else, they're passionate. I mean, it's really an easier job in Philly than it is in most other cities.
See, that's what I do every day. I talk to people that come on my program that are in my chat box here because you know why? I make everything personal with them, and I appreciate everybody coming aboard. And what makes it great is they give me a ton of crap every day, Angelo, but they're back the next day for 4 hours with me. So let me get into this Eagle conversation here with you a little bit here. Tell me this. If this team is so close to a Super Bowl, why does the organization have the fear that they would hire somebody like a Jim Schwartz or a Frank Reich or a Doug Peterson, where you would have training wheel coordinators for a coach and Nick Sirianni for a team? If you're this close, why wouldn't you hire the most experienced Is this about Howie in control so he can
Totally.
control most of the roster?
Vic Fangio was here last year as a consultant. Uh, wouldn't he be a better choice with all of his experience to become the defensive coordinator when Jonathan Gannon left?
Absolutely.
No, it is all about control. And the thing about it is that Sirianni has found a way better than Peterson did of letting them get the sense they have that control without alienating them. See, the problem that Peterson had, even after he won a Super Bowl in 17, he started to push back. He wanted to name his own assistants. Even you would think after you win a Super Bowl, you would have that power, right?
Absolutely.
He didn't have it. He didn't have that power. And the reason he left is he pushed back. Howie Roseman and really Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, they want the final say, any big push that's done in the organization. It has to be provoked by them, not by the coaching staff. So when a guy leaves, they'll bring another guy in with training wheels and they'll go, well, this will work out. And you know what? So far, Sirianni he's navigated a very precarious situation. He's managed to keep them happy and win games. But if it goes south, my experience is it could go south real fast.
Frank Reich told me, Angelo, that he said, and he's the guy that recommended him to Jeffrey. He told Nick, if you want this job, you can't play in Howie Roseman's sandbox. And if you know that, you will always remember what he said to Angelo at the Super Bowl just this year. He goes like this: when I got hired, I had to introduce myself to the majority of the coaches because I didn't even know who they were. So he came in to an already made place and set up for him. All he had to do was go along to get along. So
yep.
I guess that's smart. I guess because I still to this day, Angelo, don't know how good a coach he is.
No, I'm not sure I do either. But I do know this. Over time, Howie Roseman has proven himself to the city to the extent that if you went out to the fans now and said, Howie's really pulling the strings here, they would say, okay, good. But just that one-handed catch A.J. Brown made, he made a great trade to get that guy. You see that offensive line? Those are Howie's guys. Those guys are good players. You look at it and you go, well, he made a lot of good decisions, especially the last couple of years, and they have a terrific team. I'm not sure they're the best team. I think the Niners, to me, look better than them this year, but they're still going to be in the hunt. And, if you're even in Philadelphia, Dan, if you're 5-0 and you're bitching, you're kind of not seeing the whole picture. 5-0.
I know you need hey, Angelo, you need some cake bread, man. If you're
I had it. I went to that one.
Favorite wine, cake bread Merlot.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
I know the whole history of it. And I think I tasted most of their wines last week.
I absolutely love it. Angelo, do you think Jaylen Hurts in his time in Philadelphia will win a Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah, I do. And furthermore, I made a decision watching the game Sunday. And, he hasn't been great this year. He wasn't until Sunday. He had a really good game in L.A. He's my all-time favorite Eagles quarterback. Now, understand, I was never a big fan of McNabb. Randall Cunningham was a highlight reel guy, but he was real weird. All right.
Totally.
Foles won a championship, but he was a part-time guy. And Wentz, I can't stand. So there's not that big a field to beat out. But this guy played that game and won that game. And he made some first down runs that were amazing. He's hit with 4 yards to go, and he wriggles away and knows right where the marker is and gets the first down. He comes off the field. They're showing the tunnel in the post-game show. And here's Brandon Graham just over the top happy. And Jordan Mailata is hugging people. And here comes a Jaylen Hurts, stone face. And you know what he's thinking about. He threw a pick in the corner of the end zone. And he's a perfectionist. He never, ever feels, I guess he doesn't show the joy in playing but his commitment to the game is greater than any athlete I've encountered in 50 years in the media.
Wow.
It is so focused. His father was a coach. This guy lives to get everything right, to improve every week. He's going to win. I think he might win more than one Super Bowl here. He's a winner. He really is an amazing young man.
I'll say this to you about what I'm watching with him. And to me, this is where I come back to the training wheels coach. Angelo, I don't know if you saw it, but early in the year, it just seemed that they had him on these predetermined slides.
Yeah.
They were making him a little apprehensive,
Right.
which may have made him a little apprehensive in the passing game. And I think the training wheels offensive coordinator and him were a step behind him. And last week, like you said, it was 17-14 in the third quarter. He breaks that third and 11 run. To me, that breaks a defensive player's back when he's like that. He's almost undefensible. When you got a guy, Angelo, throw the ball for 300 yards and run 70,
Yep.
you can't defend that.
And here's the other thing, Dan. Those are not great play calls. He's making them into effective plays. Now, here's the thing. I'm not ready to tell you that after 5 games that training wheels offensive coordinator is getting it right yet, because the play calling in the red zone has been abysmal.
Terrible.
It's been really, really bad. And that's what Kelsey was all upset about on the sideline. What are you guys doing? You're taking forever to get the plays in. We're snapping it at 1 or getting a delay because it's taken so long, and the play calls stink. And that's what he was mad about. You know what? He's right. They got to start to figure that out better, because they were a very good red zone team last year with Shane Steichen calling the plays, and they are lousy this year, and they got to get better.
Angelo, you were obviously, I think you may have been on the air when Reggie came in from the Birmingham Stallions, or you may have still been at the Inquirer. But when he burst onto the scene, you got to remember something there. He's 24 years old, and he had 2 years in the USFL, and there's some quality guys in that. So he was kind of like prepped at a high-level place coming into the NFL. Here's a young kid coming in, and I said this. I thought he was going to be a Jerome Brown type. I think this guy's the best defensive tackle or defensive lineman you guys have had since 92.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible what I've seen. Your thoughts on him, Jalen Carter?
Massive. He plays big. He's right in the middle, and he plays big. And I think what Howie Roseman learned, like, he's kind of in the process of reassembling the Georgia championship defenses the last 2 or 3 years. Go with guys who played against the best competition. And even if there's something in their background that isn't quite right, if you got the right locker room, those guys will line up. They'll play. They'll keep their negative urges in check. And that's what's going on. They got a good culture. And so they can take a guy like that, and that guy will not do the crazy. He will not race his car at 140 miles an hour down the roads and get into all sorts of problems. And they have a culture now that can take these kind of players. And I just think number 90 in the middle, you're 100% right. I think he has a chance to be as good as any defensive tackle the Eagles have ever had. And I would like someday to see him dominate the way you see Aaron Donald or somebody like that in his prime.
How about this too, Angelo? Back to Howie a little bit. Think about what 2 years ago you had at the D tackle position. You had an $18 million guy in Fletcher. You had a 12-6 guy in Hardgrave. Inside of 2 years, Howie Roseman has replaced those two guys with rookie contracts, 10-year guys who are going to be in that position for the next 10 years, and you're number one against the run compared to where you were the last 2 years, 22 and 16th a year ago. That right there, look at in the linebacker positions with the money. Kaiser White got 7.5 in Arizona. The guy up in Chicago got another 7. There's $14 million. You're now paying Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham $2.5 million between both of the guys, and you're getting production out of them. This is where this guy is really something with this salary cap.
And it's only fairly recent. He made a lot of swings and misses in the last few years. Jalen Reagor,
Do you think, Angelo, that he learned more being in the closet when they put him in the closet? And he went on some sort of retreat with R.C. Slocum, the guy who built the Spurs, right?
Yep.
And maybe he learned how to be more of an organizational guy because R.C. Slocum, the guy who built the Spurs, was known for that. He just seems better.
Well, here's the thing. All right, you got to understand, if you're doing sports talk in Philadelphia, you have to express cynicism most of the time. So when Chip Kelly made his power play and took over the general managership, and they literally put Howie in the utility closet across the hall, Howie came on after he regained control, and he said that he had gone on a global tour and that he had interviewed general managers in all sports. I'm talking soccer, field hockey, anything. He went, and needless to say, I mocked him relentlessly for weeks and weeks. Oh, gee, I think Howie's heading to Istanbul. He found some, and giving him all, and then
he's talking to the cricket coach.
Right. And please keep in mind, all evidence now is that he actually did a really smart thing with that and came back way better than he was first tour of duty. And all the things I said in that period until we started to like Howie again were all pretty damn stupid. And that's why it's good that I finally retired, because I must have been losing it by then. Howie was right. Howie is so much smarter now than he was a decade ago, even 2 decades ago. He's been around that long.
But is he too involved?
But is he too involved? Well,
isn't there a line though?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
The Super Bowl, to me, you lost that Super Bowl because you didn't have the right coaches for the right moment. Yet you're 21-1, and I keep telling people, with a silver medal. Yep. I mean, that sounds great and all, but it's a silver medal. And in Philly, when you ask the question, Jeffrey Lurie's 30th year, he's won 1 Super Bowl. You happy or sad? I don't know.
Very valid, 100% valid. But, this is probably their best team. This is better than the 17 team that won the championship and better than last year's team, with the exception of those really novice coordinators. They've got most of the other thing. So the question becomes, will Howie ever give back a little of the power to bring in the final ingredients in this, which are more seasoned coaches who can help Sirianni, who I think is doing a fine job, but you need guys that have a little more savvy than the guys he's got. And if he can win doing this, then fine. If not, that will be the narrative in a couple of years. In a year or two, it'll be Howie got a lot right, but he couldn't give up enough control, and it burned him, and they never won a Super Bowl. So that's going to be the issue over the next 3 or 4 years.
Angelo, I have to ask you this because I had a conversation with Keith Jones last night, my friend and my dear friend, and John Tortorella too, who he's not for everyone, but he's one of my favorite paisans. I really like Torts, the way he handles himself, and he's a fan of us. Ed Snyder used to come on my program all the time when the Flyers used to come down to Tampa. They were in that dome. They had like 68,000 fans. There's a rule, Angelo, at the arena where the Lightning play that you can't wear opposing teams' gear because Flyer fans would just absolutely inundate the lower bowl. You can't wear that. What happened to the Flyers?
Wow. Well, most recently, Ed Snyder died, and with him went the culture. But even previous to that, he was too loyal to players and gave them the authority to run his team, and they weren't equipped to do it. And by that specifically, Ron Hextall, not equipped to do it. Paul Holmgren, not really.
Was Bobby?
Even Bob Clark to some degree. But he did it out of a sense of loyalty. What really upset me, you don't realize you upset me, because you just said that Ed Snyder was a regular on your show.
Yeah.
Ed Snyder was an owner in my city. He came on my show one time.
What?
He would come
on every time they were down there.
And we had Al Morgani and Keith Jones, who knew him very well, but he hated me so much that he wouldn't come on. Here's a great story. Here's something you'll use, a trivia of the future. So Ed Snyder buys WIP, right? Long time ago, like 30 years ago. And he's our boss. Now, to his credit, we said some outrageous stuff. He never intruded. But when people would ask him about WIP, he would call us his Frankenstein monster, that he couldn't control us and he was embarrassed by the product, et cetera, et cetera. So we're all going, what the hell's going to happen here? What's he going to do? Ed Snyder traded WIP for Eric Lindros. True story.
What?
True story. All right. Now, there's other people involved. It wasn't just us. But when the deal came to fruition, right, it was a package of players, Mike Ricci, whole bunch of players.
Yeah.
And 15.
Toronto, right? Toronto.
Right, yeah. Right.
Toronto.
And $15 million. At the very same time, he sold WIP to CBS Radio. You know how much for? $15 million. We were the money in the Eric Lindros deal.
Holy cow.
It's a fact. It's a true fact. But all those years, he never came out our show because we were his Frankenstein monster. And I guess I kind of look a little bit like Frankenstein. He probably is referring specifically to me because I was highly opinionated.
What do you make of Josh Harris owning and what he's doing?
I am no fan of Josh. Obviously, I'm a Sixers fan, but I am no fan of Josh Harris. I think he's a hedge fund guy. He's a businessman. He only does what is best for his bottom line. And I don't think he'll win here with the Sixers. I don't think he'll win in Washington with the Commanders, and I don't think he'll win in New Jersey with the Devils because his number one priority is not winning. It's making money.
Jeez, man. I mean, I see him in the booth and he's cheering and he's got him beat in there and I'm going like this. So wait a minute. One hand, he's got a team that's a division rival. And now he's telling, hey, we're going to build a new stadium. He wants a new stadium and take it out of that dump in Landover because they should have worked with the government with RFK, but they didn't see it. They ruined the fan base there. And now he wants to build them. We've talked about that arena downtown, which he's not going to get. Barkley goes like this. He'll never get that.
I hope he doesn't. If he does, he's going to have an even harder time being an owner in the town because a lot of people really hate it. When they get trapped in traffic for hours inside Center City, he's not going to be popular. So, yeah, his best scenario here is that he stays at the sports complex and doesn't get a new arena in the city. Won't work out well for him at all.
Couple last questions for you here. Are you enjoying not being – I would say this here. As being a former morning guy for 23 years, that I didn't like living like a vampire, but I did like the fact that, I could get 80% of my show done the night before I went to bed. I got kind of the idea of the format, what we were going to kind of hit on. But I had to go to bed like a 2-year-old every single night. I kind of hated that. I had the rest of my day, but I mean, I don't know, man. Being a morning guy is a lot harder than people think it is. Are you enjoying it now or do you miss it? Where are you now with this?
All right, I'm going to need a drink here. Hold on. Dan, this is, I don't know if you know, this is a brand new Cabernet Sauvignon. I brought back so much wine, I put it in my water thing. I'm kidding. No, I actually am very, very comfortable in retirement. I just started just the very tip of the book tour. I did a book fair in Collingswood, New Jersey over the weekend. And the book is occupying a lot of my time. Next year at this time, I don't know, I may be just twiddling my thumbs, but I have no urge whatsoever to get in front of a microphone and do a show again. Because I'm watching these games now as a fan again, the way I did when I was much, much younger. And it's fun. I like it. And I just spend all day. I watch a lot of sports and other TV stuff. And I read a lot. And right now I'm enjoying it. I feel more relaxed than I have in a long time. I'm leaving the job now to young studs like Dan Sileo.
Angelo, wait. Did the business run you out of the business? And what I mean by this is, see, I found myself in this position in radio. I'm sick and tired of being in front of maybe this is more for me and not all you out here, but I felt like this, Angelo. I don't want to be, social media can paint you any way they want to paint you, and 99% of the stuff is not true. Yeah, because most people don't really know who we are. However, having to answer on a goof or on a bit or whatever, and constantly answering to people because now teams have more say. I just found myself not being able. I was hired one time, Angelo, like this. I had 14 shares in the morning. I get hired to this new place. I have a new idea. We got a new bid here. We're going to put this benchmark in. We're going to do this. And I'm going like, why'd you hire me then?
Yeah.
I go, it just seemed to me that the business is gone, and it's not what it used to be when you really had talented people behind the mic. I mean, maybe I'm rambling here.
No, I think, Dan, it did not run me out. I thought it might. There were many times when I got pushed back when I gave strong opinion, but I was fortunate in that I got grandfathered, because when I started 1990 full-time, I was expressing very strong opinions with not a lot of feedback, not a lot of negative feedback from the owners and the players and that kind of stuff. And as it developed, well, he's already here. What are you going to do? We'll wait for him to leave. Well, I was around for 33 years.
I don't know how you survived Tom Bigby.
Well, again, you know how I did it? Every day I did what you do every day, and I came in and I just expressed my opinion in as entertaining as way as I could. And I took no prisoners. I pulled no punches. I gave my opinion as strongly as I could every day. And I was able to do that for that long a period of time. If I was getting into it today, I don't know. For all the reasons you said, for the social media, for the involvement of the team so much more in our opinions and all the extra pressure. But I was able to say it and do it the way I wanted to for 33 years. And I got no regrets for that. I left because I'm unbelievably old. I still look great, but that's because of all the wine I've been drinking.
Hey, Angelo, I'll just leave you with this. I said something about the general manager, and Bob Lane called my boss and called me and wanted to know what I'm going like this. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not looking for a key fob at NovaCare. You don't, you.
Nice.
I went like this. I go like this to the guy. I go, hey, Bob, just so you know, I know you from San Francisco. I don't work for key fobs. I don't want the team meal. I don't care. Okay.
Dan, we need a lot more of you in our business. We do. You got to fight back. If you trade in your opinion for access to a team or to ingratiate yourself, you're not doing your job anymore. Give us your opinion every damn day. And I know you do. We need a lot of you. We need a whole bunch of you.
Well, you can go back to your wine drinking. Cake Bread Merlot. Now I know what to get you for your birthday.
Yeah.
For Christmas. Now I know, because I have a guy at the Cake Bread Merlot place, and I'm gonna get you a case of that stuff. He sends me like a couple cases. Believe me, all I have to do is pay for the mail. I'm gonna send you one for Christmas.
Oh, I thought you were to get me a liver transplant. For all the booze I'm drinking.
Hey, Angelo, thank you so much for your valuable time. I so appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
Dan, great talking to you again. Take care, my friend.
You bet. The great Angelo Cataldi. Nothing like a guy like that. I completely love talking with him. Hey, we're going to talk to our friend Tone. We're going to go from one legend to another legend at the second hour of the program. How's that for you there at 3:30 Eastern time? Hey, don't forget our great friends at Hooters. I tell you this, guys, all the time. This is the place you have to go, the official sponsor of the National Football Show. That is our friends at Hooters, northeasthooters.com. Find one of the 7 locations nearest to you for you to be able to experience what I've been talking about for 40 years. You don't want to go into any one of the places? Hooters2go.com. Get the food. The iconic Hooter girls will take it right to your car. You'll be able to go home to your own casa and have the great Hooters food. If you want to do this too, go into any one of the places. Buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. Find one of the 7 locations nearest you, and do me a favor. When you go in, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.